who have come since. Upstate International has a unique position in the upstate in that we get to kind of be the soft landing pad when we have international families, and then turn around and get those families and their cultural experiences back to South Carolina. It puts us in a wonderful place to be. And what we looked at last year was that how do we engage more of South Carolina in global events that surround us. We know through the last elections that there are issues that are such hot topics like immigration and refugees and foreign policy and diplomacy. How do we get Americans here at home to engage more closely from the grassroots up in those topics? To that end, we joined World Affairs Councils of America, and we are now the World Affairs Council of the Upstate. And through that, we met with Columbus's Council on World Affairs this November at our national conference. And we're really excited about how, in their community, they are leading companies and businesses to get involved in global fluency as well as their local citizens. Our speaker today is Brad Gosche. He is the director of the Global Fluency Institute, which is part of Columbus Council on World Affairs. And Brad is an amazing individual, great guy you're about to meet. He has more degrees and masters than most of us put together, but he is a speaker of about 6 languages with master's degrees in French and language and culture and linguistics. He has traveled and worked extensively around the world, including working in China and France. And today, he shares his passion of educational learning, both through his work with Global Fluency Institute and in working with students. What you need to think about their council is that they put a lot of their funds back into building tomorrow's global leaders. They have a group called the Global Scholars Diploma, and I'm not sure, is it like 700 students involved now, where they help build students into global leaders for the future. So I'd like to introduce Brad Gosche, who's going to open with his remarks.
Thank you, Tracy, for that very, very kind introduction. Hello, everyone. It's nice to see everyone here. It's nice to see those faces that we spent time with this morning and those new faces that have joined us this afternoon. My name is Brad Gosche. I'm the Senior Director of the Global Fluency Institute. And I'm just going to keep my remarks relatively brief because we have a full panel of very, very unique and varied experiences that we'd like to get to today. Just want to talk briefly a little bit about the Global Fluency Institute, what we do, and what our training is like. We did have a training this morning in this very space where we worked with about 25 different individuals on global fluency and developing the skills, the mindset, and the knowledge for working cross-culturally. So that's really what our goal is to develop cross-cultural competency skills so that we can, one, I think Mr. Gale mentioned it earlier, open hearts, open minds, and create those smiles. They go a long way. So the Global Fluency Institute started about 1.5 years ago in Columbus based on a need that we needed, based on a need that said we were looking to expand globally. Columbus is a quickly growing city, and Columbus 2020, our counterpart in Columbus to your Upstate Alliance, was looking to grow economically and find ways to welcome in our global community and to reach out actually beyond our city walls. And so they came to the council and said, you know, we need some sort of guidance. We need some sort of training around developing these aptitudes. And so the council developed the Global Fluency Training, which has now really had quite a success, and that's what we were here doing this morning. You know, it came out of things like wondering, you know, if I'm working with a counterpart in China and I want to make sure that I'm effectively communicating with them so that we can develop a business relationship and develop a partnership so that they're going to want to come work with us, I need to know how to do that. You know, there are stories about having your first business meeting in China and as an American wanting to get down to business right away. We want to talk, we want to get this deal over with, we've got 45 minutes, let's get in and out of here. That's the complete opposite way that it's going to work with a Chinese counterpart. Those first 45 minutes are really about getting to know them, developing a personal relationship, and finding a way to foster the relationship moving forward. one of our local counterparts in the Columbus area learned from their mistake when they realized that they needed to be a little bit more globally fluent because they knew that it was appropriate to give a gift to their Chinese counterparts, but what they didn't realize was that the gift that they were giving was signaling death. They offered a clock to their Chinese counterparts as a gift, and in Chinese culture, the clock represents the end times. So, hello, nice to meet you. Here is your death. Another colleague mentioned also a story about, meeting a Japanese counterpart and exchanging business cards with them, as we do so often here in the States willy-nilly, just dealing a deck of cards as if we're sitting down to play poker with one another. The colleague took the business card and immediately placed it in his back pocket. And as those of you that were with us this morning learned, that a business card to Japanese culture represents the face of that person. It truly is their accomplishments and all that they've achieved in their life. So putting it into your back pocket and sitting on it is truly as if you sat on their face. Arriving to a German meeting late or not admitting the error is something that can really leave a mark and make damage to a relationship that you're hoping to grow. But we've also realized in developing the Global Fluency Institute that it's not just about global, but global is local and local is global. We found that our local global cultures are just as important in understanding as international cultures as well. So there's this wonderful story of a young girl in our community who was telling us about her abuela. She ended up having to go to the hospital because she was having these symptoms and they weren't really sure what was wrong with her. And she went to the hospital time and time again to find out exactly what was happening. And the doctors just couldn't figure out, but she was having these symptoms where she would faint and feel lightheaded. And finally, a doctor was talking to her and said, well, are you taking your medication appropriately? And she held up her medication bottle and she said, yes, I'm taking it 11 times daily. Taking it once, O-N-C-E, in English, in Spanish, once, 11 times daily. So these are important things. This is why the Global Fluency Institute matters. This is why being globally fluent matters. And this is why developing these skills are important to all of us. We have grown quite extensively over the past year and a half. We have now, after today, served more than 500 clients. We've trained more than 500 clients to be globally fluent and to offer them the skills that it needs to develop that first step in becoming globally fluent. It is a journey. It's not an endpoint. That's one of the first things we talked about in the training this morning. You cannot walk out of a training and say that you are completely culturally competent and globally fluent. It's a beginning. It's something that we need to continue practicing. In that time, we have served clients, everyone from BMW Financial to Columbus 2020, as I said, is our counterpart in Columbus, to your Upstate Alliance, to Abbott Industries, to Chase, and everyone in between, including schools. We've also recently garnered national recognition by the Brookings Institution. If you're interested in reading a little bit more about the Global Fluency Institute and how it's developed over time, please just simply Google Brookings Institution Global Fluency, and our article will be the first thing that comes up, and you'll see on the next slide the article, the picture of our beautiful city there in the background as well. As we've been able to grow over the past year and a half and really offer these skills and share these skills with folks around the Columbus region, we found that this has really been something that is not just in our region that's important, but across the nation. And up to this point, we've trained folks from more than 10 different states across the country, including those of you here in South Carolina today. So you should be proud of yourselves for taking that first step of becoming globally fluent. Recently, we were in LA and we did a training out there as well. And we found that in the audience when we were in LA, we also had people from Jamaica, New Zealand, and other places around the world. So not only are we able to bring these skills, not only are these skills important here in the United States, but also globally as well. We've learned from our expansion, though, that this is not just something for business professionals. As Tracy mentioned, I'm a passionate educator and I've been in education for a very long time, but I've also worked on the business side of things and negotiated deals with international counterparts. But what we've learned through our expansion is that everyone really needs global fluency. In working with our students, we've learned from our teachers that their classrooms are a place of great global diversity and richness. Instead of seeing global diversity as a hindrance, How do we see it as a resource? How do we learn from everyone that is around us that brings a different perspective? So we've expanded our training to teachers. We've taught teachers and administrators, everyone from school districts, from the people that sit at the front desk to the janitors who clean the hallways at night. We're expanding also to hospitals. As you heard with the Abuela story, it's very important that hospital workers are globally fluent. We've also found that the first responders are in need of these skills as well. So global fluency is something that touches all of us. So global fluency is something that we all need to consider thinking about and finding the skills, the knowledge, and the mindset to expand. You know, I'm just going to close with this last comment here. Soft skills are something that we often overlook, and that's what globally fluent is. It's really a soft skill. It's not tangible. It's not something that we can grab and hold in concrete. But those skills, while they're often overlooked, are incredibly critical to our success, especially when it comes to working with other human beings. I'm incredibly excited to be here today to represent the Global Fluency Institute. I'm incredibly excited to sit on the panel with our other 3 guests that will be here today, and I want to thank you all for an incredibly warm welcome. Thank you very much.